man in third place on the grid. He'll be looking to get that Clarksdorp KTM, the Motos KTM bike up at the front end of the fight, and of course he'll be fighting with the Fantech Kawasaki. Darian Kaiser, first of the 600cc's, makes up the first bike on the second row, also out of Uncle Andy's Racing, DNA Motorcycles, and he's on a Kawasaki. And that modified 600 of his really goes well and runs in amongst these 1000cc's. So keep an eye out on the fact that that Kawasaki could be a hassle to both the Fantech Kawasaki, the KTM of Bo Levy, and of course Justin Gillison and Teddy Brook on their Kawasaki's.
But the man that rolls up to take his pole position here at round number 7, the Joker, Nick Krobler, back into the mix. The big BMW HP4 able to run off the front, and he should be able to clean shop here and run away with it. It's going to be up to the rest of the guys to try and hang with him in the early stages. So Nick Krobler, remember, he started his season here at the opening round of the Monster Energy SuperGP Champions Trophy at this circuit. But remember, he was racing in the SuperGP on the slightly down on power S1000RR. I say that tongue-in-cheek. And he moves onto his rocket ship that he was going to race last year. He comes onto it.
Well, if he'd stayed on it, not gone overseas, he probably would have been exactly where Brent Herron and everybody are in terms of the development of that bike and how well that bike has developed through the year. There's the man who's got it all to do. It's only second place you need, Carl. I know that's not an easy thing to say when you're standing on the grid, but Carl Robinson has certainly found something special here this year. He's got better and better every time he climbed on board that Fantech Kawasaki, and will definitely be looking to sort out removing that number 8 from the 18 on his bike today.
The guy's a machine, man. Absolute machine. Every time he goes out, he is at the front. He's able to run those big numbers. He won't be happy with Krobler turning up and taking some glory away from him, but what he will be happy about is possibly being able to wrap up the championship even after this first heat. Second place is where he should be as far as his timing goes, but it's going to be up to the rest of the guys to run with it. Bo has an incredible second half of the season, as has Teddy Brook. Brook is absolutely insane on this track.
Yeah, that's the one to watch out for as Teddy Brook comes through there. You also managed to pick up some confirmation on our results in terms of Super 600s as they go out on their warm-up lap. Let's give you an indication as to how it finished up. We saw Undal, Peterson and Binder on the top of the podium, but Matthew Skolk, Dean Foss, Michael White, Kershaw, Alan John Fenter eventually down there in 8th place, just ahead of Malcolm Rudman in 9th, beating out Nicole Van Arsbecker. That's a bit of a turnaround.
Yeah, huge turnaround. Michael White, we were bigging up the kid the whole way through. He managed to pull his socks up and was credited with a 6th place. He possibly could have run to a 5th had the race not gone into a couple of red flag situations, but 6th place for the kid coming back from injury. That's great turnaround as well. Seeing as the whole way through free practice and in qualifying, he had a lot of problems on his bike that was misfiring, couldn't get the numbers going. Well, whatever his dad's done, even if it's a short-term fix, it's definitely working out. So on the warm-up lap for our second race of the day, first heat of the Super M's.
So let's once again go through what we're looking at in terms of the championship. We've mentioned Carl Robinson, second place is what he needs, but it is the Joker that will probably look to get away from this field and win out. He'll take the honours on the day, but the championship could be wrapped up by Carl Robinson. Let's look at the battle for second place, because it's between Justin Gillison, Janine Davies, Teddy Brook and Bo Levy. All 4 of those riders could possibly spoil each other's chances of getting second and third overall in the championship. Those will only be sorted out by the time we get to Red Star.
Exactly, that's going to come down to the wire. And interesting enough for your eye as well, Greg, watch out, because Darian Kaiser has finally bust out a new set of leathers, and he's in the all-white Dane Easy, rather than the 45-year-old barracks that he's been rocking.
So Dazzler looking to change his luck ever so slightly and hopefully be able to run with these thousands. But unfortunately for him, at this particular circuit, it's not like Swartkops and Red Star where it's a point and squirt type effort. These more flowing corners of the Phakisa Freeway bode well for thousands, not so well for 600s.
And what we've seen with that rider in particular, because he is fighting against thunder the whole time, every time he goes out there, because he is down on power, he does kill the rubber. This circuit famously hurts the rubber on the 600s.
So they come round now. See a hand up there from Bo, just warning the riders.
He's so
behind.
old school, Bo, hey?
Yeah,
he's so old school.
That's how we do it. It's
very polite young man, and he comes from the days when you would probably get disqualified from a race if you didn't put your hand up rolling to the grid.
That's exactly it, and that's why he's done it. I think if George Portman was still in charge,
that's who I'm talking about.
Make sure that that happened every single time. And yes, Georgie, if you are catching us on live streaming, we're missing you, buddy. We definitely missed that great charm on the side of the circuit.
So great lineup for these guys as well. Remember, Bo Levy, one of the advocates of getting the bots involved here as well, and potentially for next year, Battle of the Twins. We're going to see maybe 3, maybe 4 more of these KTM RC8s, and hopefully a couple of Ducatis as well.
Well, we're looking at the lights. Doesn't look like those lights are actually working today. I think we're picking up on the wrong lights there, but as they head down towards turn 1, it's a great start from the Joker. Up his inside, it's going to be the Fantech Kawasaki. Gillison trying to sneak through, but unfortunately just being bettered by one of the riders sneaking through. I think that was Janine, and then Darian Kaiser also with a great start. So a little bit of a change up there as they head down towards turn number 2.
You know what,
the Joker leads up.
In morning warm-up, Janine was looking incredibly good. So we know this is her favorite track. It's her favorite bike. She's got a great setup on this machine. She should be able to run there. Gillison, the man that needs to win this race, is sitting in 5th place.
Where he wants to be, but we have seen all weekend long he hasn't quite had the pace that's required. The 6th place is where he was able to qualify in. So looking at the way championship is going, Gillison is trying to consolidate and maintain 2nd place in this championship, but with Bo Levy ahead of him and right on the tail of the possible champion, looks like Bo Levy will also move up through the field and go from 5th place probably into 2nd or 3rd by the end of this heat.
Gilly, that's Gillison, he runs in 5th place. Just behind him is Brooke, and then go back and pick up on Johnny Cricker. A big improvement from Johnny Cricker at this round. Also a rider that has spent a lot of time on the Northern Regions Championship circuit with AJ Fenter, specifically developing that bike so he can run a little bit higher. And Johnny Cricker is running ahead of Janine Davies right now. Janine should be able to smoke him down the big straight though.
Well, hanging in there, Darian Kaiser keeps Gillison out and punches it in, so a little bit of look at the way things are going around.
Janine moves through Cricker.
Cricker just, I think, opening up a chance for Janine to sneak through there and not going to fight it out too hard. Remember, we've still got 13 and 1 corner to go. It is the Joker that's pulled away. Battle for 2nd is Bo and Carl Robinson. Darian Kaiser on their tail. Kaiser looking good so far and trying to hang on to the back of that 1190. But sure, that's going to be a hard ask on a 600.
Just watch Bo as well. The most efficient rider on the circuit, bar none. He doesn't do anything flash on the bike, just sits right in the middle of that machine, cranks it over, and saves energy. In fact, Carl Robinson is close to his style, but you can see there's a little bit more urgency in the man that runs in 2nd right now.
You can see things are a little bit stretched out right now, but I think it's just feeling each other up to see whether or not you've got the kind of pace that you saw in qualifying, in free practice. Changeable conditions yesterday with the wind blowing and pumping around here. The wind has picked up ever so slightly, but it's not as hard and as in your face as it was over the weekend on Friday and Saturday. But it certainly is going to start affecting riders as it picks up in intensity.
Gillison is starting to build up his pace as well. The rider that sits in 5th place is coming up to the back wheel of Kaiser. We expected to see this. Gillison, a big rider, probably the biggest rider in this field. Not a great launcher of the bike, but when he starts to wind it up, he will close in on the back end of Kaiser, and it looks like he's getting a good run on him coming into the Uchinis. Kaiser will be able to live on, but it's going to be down the big straight where Gilly can start cracking wide the big 1000.
The big 1000 is going to have to try and screen past the 600.
Kaiser's so strong through the sweepers.
He is, but he carries the corner speed, of course, that a 600 is able to do. So it's going to be a difficult task for Gillison to get past if he's not able to carry some kind of corner speed into the sweep and into Kielskop.
Marius Kukamura, unfortunately, coming here with the Honda. A great prep bike, and good to see it out there, but unfortunately not polished exactly how he wants it. So the Shurk Solutions Honda rider into the pits early on.
It was a little issue that like all weekend with development on a brand new machine. Once they get going, though, I think that Honda will definitely be in contention, probably be able to run up with this battle we're seeing right now. So, Fantech Kawasaki, that's literally the battle of the championship we're looking at for 2nd place on the road. Don't worry too much about the Black Swan Energy and Golden Mile Estate BMW HP4. There he goes through shot. He's opening up 3.5 seconds after 2 laps.
Yeah, a standing lap was a 1:44.3. A flying lap, a 1:40 flat. So we expect to see Krobler maybe tickle into the 1:39s in the next lap or the one after that. After that, he'll just level it out and run 40s the whole rest of it. He'll get the pit board, but he's got a sizable gap.
Bo has a big look behind. The kind of thing you want to do on a 99 bike, Bo, just to give you an indication.
Yeah, we always pick up on that. Fabian Ferret, look over your shoulder, and next time, Sky do it, Sky do it, Sky do it. Whoops.
So he looked back to see how far the 89 bike was, and of course he's right there. Darian Kaiser is not going to let Bo get away. I think just pacing himself as well, because I think that's more important for him to try and see if he can be the top 600. Right now he is that. Kevin Redmond is the other 600cc rider on circuit, so we'll keep an eye out for him and his progress through, and keep an eye out to see whether or not we're going to see any maneuvers being made here, because Bo is certainly closing on that Fantech Kawasaki.
He is. The way that that power is delivered, the bike is always going to be very, very stable. Uses a lot of engine braking, so it doesn't necessarily have to gear down as hard as the other guy. Certainly doesn't have to grab the brakes as hard. And yeah, he's going to be there in the mix. Incredible to see Kaiser running this high up at these stages, because normally by about lap 4 he's fallen off the back wheel. So Kaiser is the man on the fly at the moment.
To
and
throw
he's closed
another
in.
factor in is that bike wasn't firing yesterday at all.
Not well at all.
They worked frantically overnight to get it sorted, and whatever they've done seems to have worked well. Because
it was an electrical problem, something that was actually rubbing on the rear shock, and every time he went out, they thought they'd figured it out. It would wear through the cable, and then the intermittent problem would arrive. Thankfully, it looks like they have found the problem, but we hold our breath, and hopefully we don't give him the kiss of death there, as commentators often do. But right now, he is able to run insane pace. A ZX6 able to run almost the exact same lap time as a ZX10. And look what he's doing on the brakes.
Let's go around the outside of the KTM.
Well, that's his entry speed. He's just able to enter so much faster than the guys.
Wow. If he's able to run that kind of corner speed through the Incinis, there's a good pass on the move. Robinson running wide there, dude. Look at that.
I think Robinson was caught, you know what, when you've got a KTM RC8 on your shoulder, it is an absolute beast. You hear that noise, and it's quite off-putting, to be honest.
It's amazing the fact that if he gets good run through this part of the circuit, unfortunately just loses a little bit of drive there. Look at the KTM pulling away.
Yeah, the screen doesn't tell the story, but you and I know coming out of Coke Bottle, it's actually a climb up the hill, up into the Incinis. That's where he's down on power.
Correct, and that's where he loses the ground to the KTM. But now through Incini 1 and 2, he should close in. That's exactly what he does. Now, if he can get ever so close out of Coca-Cola, by the time he gets here, there is a chance of him just using the slipstream and bombing up the inside to carry that corner speed on the KTM.
Yeah, you don't have to muscle the bike as hard going into the big sweepers, so the 600 often carries a much later line and can carry big speed. But coming out of Gilles Kop, that's where he loses drive. Watch this, he'll close up right there, and as soon as the thousands light it up, he gets pulled by about 2 bike lengths.
Bo is looking dangerous, but I've got to
He does. He's starting to eye up different lines as well, which is nice.
Way past the chink in the armor,
because
possibly.
Bo's got so much experience, he'll be able to go off onto the dirty parts of the circuit and say, okay, well, that's the line I want to go on to make the pass. Is there actually traction there to make it hold?
Looking at the way things are going right now, with Bo closing in on Robinson. Robinson, I think, is, looking at consolidation here. He knows that the second place is good enough, but if he has to give it up, he can get a second in the second race, and it's still done. So literally 2/3 a second will be enough to wrap up this title. He doesn't necessarily have to throw caution to the wind and do it all now.
I don't think he's got anything else in the bag as well. Unfortunately, he is on or very close to his qualifying times as well, so it's going to be very tricky to see what he can do. In fact, he's over his qualifying times. He's running a 1:41.9, which means he is on the ragged edge. He is unable to get away from these guys. There's nothing he's holding back. He just cannot go any faster.
Well, right now he's doing exactly everything right in terms of his game plan. Second place is where he needs to be. But if Bo makes a move, will he go defensive? Will he try and keep him out, or will he let him go? In my opinion, if I was him, and I know that the pit boards can't really tell you that kind of information, but I'm sure with the season campaigner he has become this particular race season, there is the gap that we're going to see.
The entire back straight.
Yeah, that's it. But continuing my thought now on Carl, he has a very wily head on him.
He does.
And yeah, if Bo throws it up the inside, I'm going to tell you right now, he'll let him go.
Yeah, he'll let him go. Maybe play with him for a couple of laps and try and fight back if he feels it's a safe move to do. But he's not one of those riders that goes bombing on the brakes. It just seems that the KTM is able to hold tighter entry. But Bo is offline there. You see that because as soon as he tries to get the drive, and Kaiser's out. So that intermittent problem from Kaiser, it's turned up once again.
89 coming into the pits there. Can you believe that? That is such a pity for the youngster. So Uncle Andy's have only got one rider out there now, and that's the man that they want this championship to go to. Their second rider, and the number 89 600cc Kawasaki out of Uncle Andy's Racing of Darian Kaiser. That problem has once again hounded him and pulled him into pit lane.
That's going to hurt him in the championship as well. He's going to possibly be dropping down a little bit further. Bo Levy will be the man climbing up. There's Darian Kaiser. That intermittent problem showing its face here at round number 7, the penultimate round of the Monster Energy Super GP Champions Trophy, and that's a sight we have seen far too often through the weekend. Kaiser having to push the bike. What he said, I'm on the gas, and just goes boom. Yeah. That's exactly what happened coming out of Gilles Kop.
I think he said it exactly like that as well. Like, boom. That was like a technical term.
And from Bo to Bo, Bo is now, he'll have looked over his shoulder. He now knows he's got no pressure at all. I expect to see a change in attitude from Bo on the Clerkstorks Moto KTM to now go for this thing.
Can you believe that? That's not the way he wanted to end this one, I can tell you. But that's how it goes. And now we've got to see what they are able to do as they get onto that back straightaway once again. It is Bo Levy fighting with Carl Robinson. It's a fight for second place on track. Championship battle is not really between Bo and Carl, so as I said, Carl may give him a chance to possibly step up one step on the podium and take that third place and wait for race 2 to wrap it up. But looking at the way Bo is going right now, he finishes up in third place or possibly second place. That's going to give him either 20 or 16 points, and all of a sudden Bo Levy will then jump up ahead of Janine Davies into third place.
That's what we were looking for at the previous round. You actually picked up on that at the previous round. We said there's a chance of him coming through. Unfortunately, Janine Davies not able to run ahead of Gilly at the moment. Gilly is a very lonely 4th place, and we expected to see Teddy Brooke and Janine Davies running on his back wheel, because those are the times they were able to do in qualifying. But in the racing, it is blown wide open now. Davies running 18.6 seconds off the back of Krobler. But as far as Krobler goes, as we watch the second place battle going into turn number 3, where Bo once again looks incredibly dangerous on the brakes and the entry to a corner, they have calmed down the lead of Krobler. In fact, they are bringing it back.
In fact, I'm going to throw something out at you there, Matt. I was completely, like 1 point out in my predictions. If Bo finishes second, he gets 20 points, he moves to 127. If Janine finishes in 6th place, she goes to 128.
Well, that's what we like. You know, we're coming to the closing stages of a championship. We don't necessarily like to wrap up championships at the penultimate round. We like it to go all the way to the wire. That KTM fires out of Coke bottle like nothing else.
I'm going to throw something at you, because you've ridden both these bikes.
I'm trying to keep catching all these things you've thrown me.
I've never had a chance to have a go on an RC8. I'd love a go, to be very honest with you, just to see what it's like, because I know that from your point of view, you loved it, and it gives you a whole supermoto type feel. But in terms of the wheelbase on that bike, I'm sure the KTM is a slightly shorter wheelbase, which allows it to carry almost 600S type corner speed. Am I wrong?
You are wrong, but the idea is right. It carries a ton of mid-corner speed because the weight is extremely low down. The tank is high, but all of the weight, the shock and the engine hangs extremely low. Even the exhaust pipe is low. There's thinking behind that as well to bring the center of gravity down. So when you tip it into a corner, it's extremely balanced, and you don't actually have to work too hard to get the thing cranked over. So mid-corner is what the bike is all about. As far as the power delivery goes, though, extremely strong, banging out the corners. The torque is right there at the bottom end.
That's why you're here, but I'm not quite sure on the technical side of things. You're a lot better on that, but it kind of looked that way to me. If you look at the look and feel of the bike, the KTM from an outside point of view, walk past it, it looks like a lot shorter in terms of that wheelbase, but spot on in terms of...
You'd like riding it as well, because it's a big bike and you sit right in it. It's like riding an armchair. You can ride quite lazy.
Well, we're a little bit further back in the field, and we had a couple of shots of them. But, okay, we've gone back to the leaders. But we will mention the fact that Travis Warren and Redmond are fighting for top 10 honours there, which is great to see, as Travis Warren, of course, all the way from East London, being helped out by Supersport Gearbox. That's Robbie Breakspear's company. And, of course, Monroe, the Mayfair Gearbox. And a big thanks to them for giving him a chance. The East London rider on the Honda fighting with Kevin Redmond, the two of them having life a little bit further back. But in terms of this championship with 7 laps to go, halfway stage is reached in this race, and no changes for second and third. Bo is holding those cards close to those KTM.
If you look on the circuits, and we were talking about where the bike is different, where the bike is a little bit stronger, coming out of the turns of the toe of the boot, that's where the KTM is strong. You see him actually getting a good drive and a really good setup going into Coke bottle. Mid-corner here, once again, there's a chance here for Bo to bang it up the inside. There we go, he's pulled the pin. Okay. He's been looking at that for a very long time. I thought it was going to happen going into Coke bottle, but obviously very comfortable going and changing line, and that's what he's been doing for about 6 laps. He has been off to the side, left and right, trying to find where there's grip, where there's traction. He's now comfortable to get the job done. Moves up into second place, and clean as you like.
And pulls a bit of a gap too.
Clean.
Carl, I think, just said, you know what, go. Really?
Carl didn't even fight that one back. What he did do was roll out slightly earlier, and I think now he's just going to try and stay out of the roost, because that's what riders have been talking about the whole way through the weekend. They said the amount of tire roost and dust that they are taking, they're going to be throwing away their visors after each race.
Fantech Kawasaki now into third place. That's not going to be enough to wrap up the title yet. He needed 20, he didn't need 16, so 16 points is what he's going to score right there. Nicholas Krobler there, confirmation, fastest lap, coming through there on lap number 3 of a 140.342, and then he went down to 140.140.
Great graphic showing us that as well.
Brilliant stuff.
Fantastic to see that. So Krobler, you know, that bike definitely capable of doing a hotter lap than that. We expect to see that bike able to run in the 38s, possibly in the right hands of 37 as well. But remember, Krobler hasn't had that much seat time on the machine, and we know the track isn't at its prime. But look at the pin that is being pulled. Levy and the Klerksdorp's KTM. What an arrival back into full national championship racing. And he was another rider that benefited from coming here at the Northern Regions Championship, their penultimate round, just 2 weeks ago, and was able to run the same pace as the Ducati Panigale of Donovan Ferry, who actually wrapped up the Bots Championship for his 3rd championship in 5 years. But Bo was hassling him the whole way through that race.
Honda riders be happy to see Travis Warren from East London once again. That's the battle we picked up on earlier on. We were watching for a while, we didn't really get to chat to them, but now they're on screen again. And Redmond, the Supersport Gearbox man, is right on his stablemate's tail there. Also a Supersport Gearbox, Mayfair Gearbox, and of course Munro helping Travis Warren to get up here. So that's how things have changed up at the back end. It's a battle for now 9th and 10th place. Warren in 9th, Travis having a super run there with a 47.4 as his fastest lap. Not a bad effort there on slightly older machinery.
You see that as well. You can tell, and no disrespect, you can tell the riders that don't spend much time here. Completely different entry. Just maybe 6 inches offline going through the Uccinis, and he wasn't confident at the front end. And the front end there as well, completely different line from Robinson. Robinson looks like he may have cooked his tyres. So Robinson is way offline and unable to run the pace of Bo Levy. This isn't the rider chilling out. Oh, there's Kaiser. He's rolled out the pits and he's got a problem again.
He went out and kind of tried to see if it was going to be sorted out, but unfortunately it hasn't been. So Darian Kaiser is not going to have a great first race.
Such a cool kid, man. Really, even on a bad day, he'll have a smile on his face, but this is probably the biggest sulk you'll see from him.
He still backed it in when he went to park it against the tyres. Little last-minute skid for the kid. And yeah, that's what it's all about. Not a happy camper, though.
The curse of the new leathers.
Yeah, I'm probably also looking going, you know what? I've tried everything to sort this out. There's something wrong there. And we'll get it sorted out eventually, Jerry. Don't worry, we're going to Red Star. That's a track that you are extremely good at, so don't stress, buddy.
There's a great South African phrase here that he just said in his helmet. Really? Really?
Really?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Exactly.
Poor kid, man. Real
Right,
good guy.
89 off the circuit. We're looking for 79 on the track, I can hear in my ears, and they're trying to find Janine Davies. I want to just see where she's got to, because sitting in 6th place behind Teddy Brooke is going to be a little bit costly for her, because sitting in 3rd place in the championship, Teddy Brooke is right behind her, and Teddy has got a chance of possibly jumping up in terms of this championship overall, as well as Bo Levy, who's now moved to 2nd.
All right, so we're looking at shots on the circuit there, but across the stripe, 1, 2, 3, and 4 have gone across. Gillison is still holding 4th place. We're looking down to see where Teddy Brooke is. Teddy Brooke has just come across the stripe, which means we should see Janine. There we go. So she, you see that little look across? She's kind of riding maybe a little bit too hard, maybe a little bit too aggressive. She's faster when she's a little bit smoother and calmer. And right now, she is unable to match and get onto the back wheel of Teddy Brooke. Well, even though her lap times tell the story that she should be able to run with him. She's only 0.02 of a second on the timing sheets off his back wheel, lap for lap.
So the way things are going right now, it's Teddy Brooke and Janine Davies that could be swapping out in their championship positions overall. Kyle Robinson with 16 points is going to, he's going to get those 16 points in the bag, but it's not enough to wrap the title up just yet. Justin Gillison sitting down there and looking for a 4th place will get 13. So yeah, we've got a little bit of reshuffling to do for 2nd to 5th place in this championship, and it's going to happen all day and probably all the way into Red Star as well. We may wrap things up in terms of the title here with Kyle getting a 2nd or a 3rd in the next heat, but 4, 5, 6 in this championship still got to go to Red Star.
Love this little battle between Redmond and Warren. These guys are going to keep us on our toes, and this is for single digits. I always kind of call that one out. Single digit racing at a national category, it's a huge call out to say that you ran in the top 10.
Especially if you make it the 9 as opposed to the 10.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Single digit racing.
Yes,
that's what you want. That's what you want.
Keep it in the top 10.
They just look better on your
CV.
CV, but they also look better on the bike for the next season.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's for sure.
Back in the day when we used to race BMX, you know, what plate are you? SA number 1. Oh, really?
SA1, that's right. I had one of those in about 1984. It's a long time ago. But certainly a great effort here from Travis Warren and Redmond, the 2 stablemates, keeping it real. Bo Levy is the man at the front end, though, and he is our leader in terms of the usual contenders here. And when I say the usual contenders, I'm talking about the seasoned campaigners of Super M. It's great to have the Joker back again, but yes, he has disappeared at the front end and put nearly 8 seconds into Bo.
Tell you what, since Bo hit the front as well, he's obviously been able to maintain his times, maintain his tyres as well, and that's what the KTM particularly in the hands of Bo Levy. He is butter smooth. He doesn't crack it wide like a couple of other boss riders like Brian Bonnekonen, late on the brakes, early on the gas, used to smoke rubber. Bo's tyres will run all day, every day at this pace, and that's the situation. The Kawasaki ZX-10 that he was running with in the early stages of Carl Robinson is a little bit harder on the rubber, and Carl Robinson probably carrying about 20 Ks extra than Bo.
So as he gets onto the back straight away now, look at the gap that's opened up between Bo and third place.
Yeah,
now,
almost 6 seconds. Massive.
It's a big lead there. So yeah, he was sitting back holding those cards, as I said. And the Joker's got away, but he's got the rest of the pack in his hands and has now moved to second.
Again, the coastal warriors that have come up to the Phakisa Raceway, trying to figure out a new track. Warney, remember, he was one of our breakout riders at the East London circuit, and fantastic to see him making the trip with a little help from his friends, as he's been talking about the whole way through the weekend, to come and compete at round number 7.
Black Swan Energy, G&H Transport, and BMW in the house has the Joker. We're picking him up for the first time in a long time because it's getting close to the closing stages. But yeah, Nick Krobler doing a massive effort there. His best lap's been a 40.140. That's a very hot lap around here. And considering that HP4 hasn't really had a lot of development on it, it's a great effort from the team, and I think he's just great and grateful to be back in South Africa racing in front of, you know, what is his home crowd.
Yeah, and just to show the class of the rider as well, has not dropped out of the 140 bracket the entire way through the race. At one point was been able to maintain in the early running a 6, maybe 6.5 second lead. In the last 3 laps, he's eked that out a little bit further as everyone else has fallen off, and he's improved. And we remember from Joker's early days on the thousands, good rider on worn rubber. So he's able to now extend off the front to 7.6 seconds off second place Bo Levy.
Looking at the way he's gone, and unfortunately we haven't really had a chance to watch him throughout the weekend because, you know, what we've seen so far is literally the battle at the front end for this championship. But I've got to say, Matt, we always touted the fact that he was a very ragged rider. He spent a season in the UK. How smooth has he become?
You literally cannot be ragged riding in the UK. The tracks are way too technical. If you're ragged, you're just going to go down. It's that simple. But good to see him actually go and do that. A bit of a gamble to go over and race in the British Super Stock Championship. It's a hard place to be. It's a relatively expensive place to be. And for a South African rider who realistically can only ride maybe 5 or 6 circuits, to go over and learn an entire new race circuit scene, at least the fish and chips he'll enjoy when he's over there. But there are a lot of South Africans for him to hang with as well. So he was riding in the same championship as James Egan. Egan able to tickle the top 10 every now and again. But Krobler, you know what? It's a long road. If you're going to go race overseas, you've got to stay there 2 or 3 years before you start bringing the results. And we know that he can run the same pace as Egan. Egan over there for 3 years has figured it out. On our last lap though, and Warney on the 21, currently holding on to that single digit that we've been speaking about.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough ask for him, that's for sure. But let's wait and see what he's able to do. But it's all about the leader at this stage with the last lap coming in. The 22 bike is going to be taking the victory. Unfortunately, we're not going to wrap up the title just yet because he's about 4 points shy of what he needed to be heading in here, beating in third place. Bo Levy is going to be very happy. He's going to win out the usual contenders and the season campaigners for Super M's battle on his Motos KTM machine from Glockstop. So here we go.
What a great shot. A shot we rarely see. Everyone thinks it's a straight line. Everyone thinks it's a straight line though, going up the hill into the Uchinis. There's a lot of movement going on there. Huge. You've got to really work hard for it. Last time down the back straight, and the Joker is on fire, and it's just great to see him out there. The kid enjoys his riding, loves his racing. They had some problems on the bike on day 1 of free practice. They've certainly sorted that out, and it will be the first victory of the day, and I'm going to call that out. Maybe the Black Swan guys can get the rest of the boys in the bag, but early celebrations from the Joker coming up out of Heelskop into the final turn, and he'll put it onto the back wheel once again and show out for the team. So Black Swan take their first victory of the day in Heat 1 of the Super M's. The Joker is back.
Awesome effort there from him. Great to have him back in the field. It's really what we expected, and looking forward to more of the same heading into race number 2. Fortunately, Carl Robinson is not going to wrap it up just yet, because 16 points onto his 217 is not enough. So we'll have to wait until the second one. So hang tight for that one. It's going to be an absolutely amazing race.
Flag comes out, and the rest of the guys coming across the stripe there. It looked like Janine Davies actually closed right up onto the back end of Teddy Brooke just as they crossed the line, so she was holding something back, and there was just 1/1000th of a second of them as they crossed the line. that could have changed things a hell of a lot. But Teddy Brooke held it off, and he got 4th ahead of Janine Davies, confirmation of her 5th place. Johnny Cricker gets 6th.
Just before I go down and hit the podium, let me give you a quick unofficial points update. Carl Robinson maintains his lead with 233 points now in the bag, so looking good at the top end. Bo Levy has now moved into 3rd place, just behind Justin Gillinson. Gillinson on 144, Levy on 135. So we're looking at an 11-point deficit there for the two of them. But more importantly, Janine hangs on to 4th place, just ahead of Teddy Brooke by 2 points. 128 versus 126.
So realistically, Janine is going to want to try and get that position up. And she's done that so many times this season. She brings back those last 2 laps as everyone else starts fading off. But every now and again, she doesn't quite get there. This was one of those situations. She needs to start finishing off ahead of Teddy Brooke. But celebrations and a nice cool down lap in those black leathers on the Black Swan Racing HP4 BMW. Krobler is back in the mix, and a rider we desperately want to see get back onto his other bike going forward into next year and race in the SuperGP Championship, and definitely one of those riders that can hassle for the podium. I think 2015 is going to be an absolute cracker when we see a full grid lineup once again. So we've already had the Super 600s, which was our first race of the day, seeing 2 red flags coming out. Second race of the day, much cleaner and crisper riding from the Super M races. First race of the day for the BMW of the Black Swan Racing. Energy, the Krobler, the Joker, number 22, and Bo Levy pulling the pin at the halfway marker on the 99 Clerkstops KTM RC8 to get himself ahead of Robinson, who will get that 3rd place. And even though he extends his championship lead, he doesn't quite wrap it up at this first heat. Janine Davies came on strong towards the end there on the second of the BMWs, right on the back wheel of Teddy Brooke as they cross the line, and she's credited with 6th place, which keeps her in the hunt for her placings in the championship. So great shots of the riders coming in to wrap up our 2nd racing heat of the day. Remember, we're going to be moving forward now into the first heat of the Super GPs, where we're going to see a cracker of a race, as that championship is now tightened up to the tune of 10 points between Sella and Isaacs. Looks like we're heading down to the podium, and we're going to be catching up with these guys as they get themselves out of their leathers, and we'll be speaking to Greg Maloney down there, and we'll get a little bit of reaction from them from that first heat of the race of the day for the Super Ms.
Awesome stuff here in the podium ceremony. As you can see, the bikes coming in. Carl Robinson, unfortunately, hasn't done enough just yet to take the title. 16 points, and he'll be happy with that. But an awesome effort from him, that is for sure. As he comes in, you can see some happy campers with his team too. But yeah, it is the Joker who is at the top of this podium. And it's a welcome return to the top of the board. What a way to come back into South African racing. Come out here on your Black Swan Energy BMW and take the first victory of the day in Super M. The KTM rider, of course, Bo Levy, also a very happy man. And you can see his team also high-fiving each other down the bottom here. Nice to see Teddy Brooke giving Darian Kaiser a lift in. His bike's stricken out on the circuit, but he's all sorted out, unfortunately. And I'll have to get that bike ready to rock for race number 2 now. Riders are making their way up to us right now, but just looking at the way that the championship is right now, Carl Robinson hanging on. I'm not quite sure. He looks like he's a happy man, and he seems pretty excited about the fact that he could possibly have wrapped it up. But I think it's still about 2 or 3 points shy of what he actually required. We'll have to wait and see, and maybe he'll give us the full confirmation. But the Motos Clarksdorp boys are happy because the KTM was first of the usual contenders. They're the first riders that didn't have to fight with the Joker and beat out the seasoned campaigners in terms of Super M. But Carl Robinson doing a great job there to finish up in 3rd place. It looks like we're almost good to go up here for a podium ceremony, and it's going to be super to get all these riders once again. Yes, indeed. We have 3 manufacturers, again, like we had in the Super 600s, on the podium. First one we're going to call up rides for Uncle Andy's Racing, and Fantech Kawasaki. He still leads this championship, and I think he needs to do one more race to wrap it up. We'll get confirmation on that really soon. But let's get him up here. You think he's champion? Okay, well, we're going to say that he's possibly the new Super M champion. We'll get confirmation on that. Let's get him up here. 3rd man on the podium, Carl Robinson. Nice job, Carly. Well done, bud. Nice to see this man doing a super job. He hung tight for a while, but eventually got past. When he did get past, put in a couple of seconds over the Kawasaki, but you can see he was consolidating for this championship. He's the first of the usual contenders here this weekend. Riding for the Motos KTM Clarksdorp machine on the RC8, Bo Levy. And it's been a while since we called this man up onto a podium, but it's great to have him back in South African racing, especially here at Monster Energy SuperGP Champions Trophy in our SuperM class. He's known as the Joker, and he is certainly one man who has what it takes to get to the top of the podium every time he climbs on a motorcycle. For Black Swan Energy, G&H Transport, let's hear it for Nicholas Grobler. So third place is going to be handed out by one of our gas representatives. I think it's going to be Lee Watson. Mrs. Lee Watson, thank you very much. To your new SuperM champion, let's hear it for Carl Robinson, third place. It's the first SuperM champion as well. I was going to get to that. So that's a bit of history in the making here today. Once again at Phakisa, we make history in SuperM. The first time we came here, it was Janine on the podium. This time, we crown our new SuperM champion. Well done, Carl. Second place, Mr. Stephen Watson, going to go to Bo Levy. Great job, Bo. And yes, it's the Joker back to the top again. Anthony Larts are going to hand out first place to Nicholas Grobler. It's that beard, and it's the beard. Well, there we go. Let's have a quick chat. I'm going to leave him out. We'll go to first place first. We'll do it the other way around this time. Get on down here, Joker. Come and tell us what it was all about. How awesome is it to be back at Phakisa in front of a South African crowd and showing that your style has certainly changed up since your duties overseas?
Yeah, the overseas helped me a lot. I'm glad to be back. Unfortunately, I wanted to be in this Super GP class, but yeah, it was a fun day and I had some fun.
Still got one more to go, so could we get a double out of you today?
I hope so. I ruined the tyre I need for the second race, so we'll see.
Oh, okay. Did you pick up on that, boys? Eh? The tyre is ruined on the Joker's bike. So everybody in SuperM, take that into account. Well done. We'll see you at the second one. Good job. Bo, step on in here, buddy. As I said, first of the season campaigners out there. It was a bit of a battle between the two of you, but I think once he let you through, he realized he didn't have the same kind of pace and let you go.
I'm sure he didn't let me through, but it was quite a job to get past him, but it was fun. I enjoyed it and good to be back on the podium after my string of bad luck we had.
Turning it around to the end of the season now, and of course that's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to get second in the championship, so I have to get some people in between us, so Carl's really helping me.
Good job. We'll see you at race number 2. Ladies and gents, it's fantastic to bring this man down because yeah, you've done enough. Third place, 16 points in the bag, and that is the first SuperM National Championship title, and your name's on the trophy, buddy. How does that feel?
It feels good, Greg. It's you got to breathe. You know, I've been riding tight the whole weekend, so this couldn't have come any earlier. Hopefully, in the second heat, I can give it some of a better go. I just want to say a big thanks to all the people that have helped me. That's my friends, my family, my sponsors, Uncle Andy's, Fantech, Randblower, and you know, most important is friends and family. Without them, you can't do something like this because it's quite a selfish sport and you need them to support you. So big ups.
And they're always there for you. That's the most important thing. And dude, I think from my side as well, we've seen progression right the way through. You've spent hours and hours in the saddle, not only in Super GP, SuperM, you've been in the ZX10 Cup, you've been at Northern Regions. It's finally paid off, buddy. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Greg. And one more to Uncle Steve from Steve Cannon. Super.
See you at race 2. Look forward for more of the same. We're going to head back upstairs to Matt and let's see what's going to happen for race 1 of Super GP.
Yeah, Greg.
Welcome back to the Phakisa Freeway, round 7 of the Monster Energy Super GP Champions Trophy and race 2 of SuperM making their way out onto the grid. Hope you all enjoyed your lunch if you're in the southern part of the world. If you're all around the world, enjoyed your supper, your tea, whatever you had a chance to go and have a break with. But we're back for the last 2 races of the day here at Phakisa Freeway.
We have already wrapped up 2 championships here at the penultimate round, round number 7 of the Monster Energy Super GP Champions Trophy, and the heat is rising. We talked about it all day. The wind is not here, mercifully, and that means track temperature will be round about 38 degrees on the tarmac. Pirelli rubber is going to be hurting this time around. We've already wrapped up this championship in the Super M's with Kyle Gene Robinson taking the inaugural crowning of the Super M Championship.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see that. And Kyle Robinson, the genie in the bottle, came out today and he sorted it all out in terms of the championship. But let's have a quick squiz at how this circuit actually works, because it is a purpose-built circuit for the MotoGP originally, and now looking for an opportunity to seal another deal for the SuperGP. There it is, round 7 taking place. You've got the start-finish line into turn 1. It's a little wiggle-waggle through to turn 2, and a little straightaway into the boot section. As you can see, it looks like a boot, very Italian-like, and of course the toe of the boot is turn 3. Coca-Cola corner is turn 4, and there's another wiggle-waggle heading down to Uncini 1, where we've seen plenty action today, especially in that last race in the Super 600s. And Uncini 2 takes you onto the back straight, flat out down the back straight into the sweep, just turn 7. And then Hillkop is 8, lining you up for the final corner, or pit entrance, depending on how you're going to complete the lap at Phakisa.
This is Nicholas Krobler. Remember, he was riding for the Black Swan Racing team on the number 22, the Joker. He started the season here on SA shores as part of the SuperGP Championship. Then he went overseas, racing on British shores as part of the British Superbike Championship in the Superstock 1000cc category. A couple of other SA riders along for the ride. He's back on SA soil, and he's on the big BMW HP4. He's already taken a massive win in heat number 1 here at round number 7, and he's looking to go for the juicy double today.
Yeah, it's great to have him back on South African soil, that is for sure. Looking forward to seeing whether or not he's going to be able to hang tight and make it a double on the day, because most of the sort of one-off riders that have come through the season, and I pick up on Chris Leeson as an example of that, have come through. Oh yes, the number 1 plate is there. They have duct taped up the number 18 and removed that 8 from the 18, and that is your new Super M champion, the inaugural Super M champion, the first time we've ever crowned one. And that number 1 just says it all. He's had a fantastic season, and Kyle Robinson is just fired up so much by that championship win. He'd love to go and take it to Nicholas Krobler now.
Yeah, he can. On his day, he definitely can. And the Joker was talking about the fact that he smoked his tyres. We'll have to see what the tyre situation is going to be here in the heat of heat number 2 race action at round number 7. Yeah, Kyle Robinson, this is a glory run for him. He's going to enjoy it. And we can actually start building up the situation going into the final round now. Greg, he mentioned this a previous round, and he said, if I wrap this up at the penultimate round, when we come to the final, I'll line up with the big dogs.
I'm hoping that's the case. I really am, because I'd love to see him go and do battle in SuperGP. That's kind of the stepping stone that we're promoting with SuperGP. That's the man who beat him in the race, but couldn't beat him in the championship. And in fact, by beating him in the race, has now moved himself up into 3rd place in this championship behind Justin Gillison. Justin Gillison still hangs on to a 9-point lead over KTM. So the warm-up lap about to go out. And speaking of Bo Levy, he had a phenomenal race, number 1. Finished up ahead of Kyle Robinson on the podium. And of course, that has moved Bo Levy into 3rd place in the championship, ahead of Janine Davies, who's on 128 points, and Teddy Brooke, who's now on 126 points. So the battle to watch out for in this race particularly is going to be Bo Levy and Justin Gillison for 2nd in the championship. And then, of course, down in 4 and 5, Janine Davies and Teddy Brooke. 2 points adrift between the two of them.
Yeah, the main man out of Moto KTM Klerksdorp, Bo Levy, he's had an incredible second half of the season and an awful start to the season. He had a lot of bad luck. He had a lot of mechanical problems and a couple of crashes along the way. So it's good to see him climb the ladder and really turn his entire season around with just 3 rounds to go. It all started at the previous round at Swart Cops. He ran great. Penultimate round, he's bagging a lot of points. And he's going to go to the final round with that chance, like you say, to climb up a little bit up the ladder. In the second race here as well, I'm looking down the grid. Marius Kukumura is in the mix. He's been developing one of the latest Honda CBR 1000 Fireblades, but it had some teething problems in race number 1 all the way through practice and qualifying as well. So I noticed that he's dusted off his plain white, his previous model bike. So at least he's going to be out there and he should be able to complete the entire race.
Yeah, great to see the Hondas are there. We did mention the fact that Honda are looking to come into SuperGP full-time next year with a package available due to the changes in the way things are being done. Hand up from Darian Kaiser already is not a good sign. I was about to mention the fact that the youngster had an issue in race number 1 and he's back on track. But with his hand up in the air so early down the back straight, I think that issue has not been sorted, and the Dazzler is going to be heading into pit lane.
Either that, or he's rolling out, because remember, because of his poor qualifying and poor results and having to limp off in race number 1, he may be starting at the back. Let's just see if he actually peels off or actually lines himself up.
Confirmation in terms of starting at the back of the field. He's supposed to start at the back of the field according to my grid sheet, but he put that hand up really early, and that was what I was concerned about, that he was maybe saying, listen, there's an issue on my bike. But no, he has come up to take his position on 12th on the grid, as we see Carl Robinson second, Bo Levy alongside him, then Justin Gillison sneaking through there on the 46 Portable Shade Kawasaki, all black leathers and the black and blue Kenny Roberts-esque Arai helmet. Then you've got Teddy Brook alongside him, the Brook Refrigeration Kawasaki, John Kricker on the Alan John Fenter Racing Kawasaki ZX10, Janine Davies, Neil van Rockenberg, the second KTM, we haven't mentioned him much, but here we go down towards turn 1 as the lights go out, and a little bit of a wheelie from Teddy Brook. That's going to open up an opportunity for Janine to go wide.
A whole shot for Robinson. Robinson gets the hammer down. It looked like a little bit of a loft of the wheel, but he managed to stay on it, and he's going to lead into turn number 1. So our now newly crowned champion heads and gets the whole shot.
All fired up. I did say that, and he's going to take the battle to Nicholas Krobler. So the Joker and Carl Robinson having a little bit of a run early on. It's Bo Levy sitting in third place. Behind them it's Gillison. That's the battle to watch out for second in the championship. Gillison is right there with Bo and wants to try and maintain an opportunity of staying in second place. He's got to work hard to keep Bo Levy at bay, and we know that Bo has got some great pace here. So we did mention on the podium, Matt, I've got to take it to you and remind you that Joker was talking about a really short.
Yeah, exactly that. So I was wondering where you're heading, but yeah, that's what I was about to say. Tires wins races, Cole. That's what they say. The only man that looks like he's got a brand new front tire. I don't know whether he's got a new rear tire, but definitely a new front tire on the KTM, and definitely a new front tire on Darian Kayser's bike. But no stickers, and that's always the telltale sign. No stickers on bikes that run 1 and 2 on the circuit right now.
Yeah, and that's why I think Nicholas Strobler's battling so much on that Black Swan BMW. The HP4 has got a lot of horsepower, and to try and get that horsepower down on the track, you need to have some kind of rubber. And if he has really pushed that tyre to its limit and over its limit, then he's going to be finding himself wanting here. And by the looks of things, that's exactly what the case is.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just trying to nurse his tyres, but the back end of that Black Swan Energy BMW is already wagging around. So he's not able to get on the gas, and I think perhaps possibly we may see a situation where he's going to just build up the race and see if he can keep Carl Robinson in his sights. Right now, though, this is the Carl Robinson that we saw the whole way through the season. Running and hiding, dropping the hammer, getting out front, and already from a standing start, well over a second in the lead.
43.535. His fastest lap of the race so far from a standing start is Carl Robinson's first effort out there.
And Krobler's standing start lap time was a 1:44 as well, so he is really fired up, is Robinson.
So it's looking good for Robinson at the front end now that he's taken the title. He doesn't have to worry about it. He can throw caution to the wind and go and fight it out, and going Rossi style into the boot.
He never hangs the boot as well, so it's great to see him hanging the boot into the boot. Carl Robinson is on fire, and he's just going to have a bit of a glory run. I think there's big concerns under the helmet of the 22 Joker, because he's not riding how he wants to.
The Joker under pressure from the KTM and Bo Levy, and Bo Levy just doing everything right to try and stay ahead of Justin Gillison. The way things are looking right now, Gillison might be losing that second place in the championship to Bo Levy. There's only 9 points in it, and it's going to be extremely close between these two. If they stay as they are right now, he's only going to get a 3-point back, so it'll go to 6-point deficit going into the final round if the race had to end right now.
Big surprise on the season as well. Here at round number 7, the neon yellow helmet of Johnny Kricker is running ahead of Teddy Brook and Janine Davies on the road. That is a huge turnaround, not just for the championship, but for the personal development of Johnny Kricker as a rider.
I'd love to know what AJ Fenter Racing was doing to that ZX10 in between the races, because they've certainly found something special for Johnny K to go and play on. So he sits in 5th place, coming across the line to complete another lap. We're going to have 12 to go. Just behind them, there's another battle to keep an eye out on, because Janine Davies is fighting with Redmond, Kukamur, and Travis Warren. Yeah,
something to watch out for, but they stretch out, and Robinson had a 1.2, now turns into a 1.4 second lead. So he is stretching off the front and leaving the rest of the guys wanting. He looks like he is managing his tires quite nicely, but there are still a marathon 12 laps remaining in this race. Oh,
this is a little bit further back. This is the one I was talking about. Okay, Janine's just ahead of this, but this is Redmond, Kukamur, Travis Warren, and at the back end, the second KTM there from Rockenberg. It's a nice little battle, and 4 bikes in it. Initially in race number 1, we saw Redmond and Travis Warren fighting on their own, but now Kukamura is there because he wasn't on that brand new Honda of his, but on his old Honda, he certainly has got what it takes. And in fact, he is throwing it in amongst those Hondas and KTMs and the Yamaha that leads it out. But Van Lockenberg has also found some pace now in race 2.
Let me tell you about Van Lockenberg as well. He got that bike a week before the previous regional that was held at this circuit just 2 weeks ago. So that bike is 3 weeks old. He's done 1 race and he's lined up for the national. That has been all developed by Bo Levy. So he's bringing on a couple of new riders, and this is all good news for Neil because he's getting to do a lot of learning on the back wheel of these more experienced riders.
Yeah, it's a super effort there from him, and great to see the battle there. It's Honda versus Yamaha, 600 versus 1000, which is the first part of this battle. Then it's Honda versus KTM, 1000 versus 1190. Janine Davies sneaking through on Johnny K. Johnny Cricker losing out to Janine through the sweep, and Teddy Brooks coming along too. Brook Refrigeration Kawasaki ZX10 all over the back of that full throttle AJ Fenter Racing Kawasaki ZX10, and a nice battle there. 51 years of age is Teddy Brook, one of our oldest riders. In fact, I think he is the oldest rider in the Super GP paddock, and he's still giving it everything he can.
Johnny Cricker looking over his shoulder, trying to cover that line, but Teddy's going to be able to square it back and should be able to squirt it pretty hard and get up the inside going into turn number 1. But all the while, they're allowing Janine to get through. And I think everyone is on old rubber. Certainly the guys in this bunch are, including Janine Davies, because they took it very easy those first 2 laps before they could actually feel out the conditions on the track and actually gain that confidence knowing that they could push on. Janine has been the first to pull the pin and get through on Johnny K, and Teddy Brook is going to be following suit pretty soon. But remember, these guys have been locked together the whole way through race number 1. Yeah, Teddy climbs up the inside, and that thing was wagging all over the place.
And
Johnny pulled his elbows in hard that time.
Teddy hit the bump coming out. It's going to allow an opportunity to Johnny come back at him. So 93 and 13, battle of the threes there. Trying to close in on Janine Davies, who goes through the toe of the boot, now heads towards Coca-Cola. Davies has moved up into 5th place, so that's good for her. And of course, putting her up into 5th place and ahead of Teddy Brook with Johnny Cricker there, could possibly swap things out there between them as well. Let's wait and see how this thing pans out.
Yeah, Johnny's starting to look over his shoulder as well, so as soon as he's got passed by the BMW of Janine Davies and the Kawasaki ZX10 Brook Refrigeration of Teddy Brook, he's off the back wheel. He's lost out almost half a second straight away, and he's looking over his shoulder to see who else is there. Johnny does tend to ride a little bit tight in the early laps and takes a while to loosen up, and I think that's exactly what's happened. He's hanging on a little bit too tight.
He's really pushing it too hard, too early, and having to pace himself because maybe not used to the length of races here. Remember, he has done a couple of Super GP events right through the season, but when he races normally in the Northern Regions Championship, the laps are a little less than what we're doing right now, 14 in the Super M.
Just looking at the scoring sheets as well here, Darren Kaiser is off the back of absolutely everybody. So the 89 machine, the second of the Uncle Andy Racing machines, is having a dismal round here at round number 7. Right now, all about Carl Robinson, still extending. He now nurses a 1.7 second advantage over the Joker. Krobler cannot run with the old man.
What I'm seeing here from Krobler's point of view is the fact that I mentioned earlier on, I think there may be tire degradation on his bike, and he's trying to work as hard as he can and go as fast as he can on a bike that hasn't got the same amount of rubber as what Carl Robinson's got.
Yeah, I think we'll see him just figure out the conditions, feel out the tires, and he will start building up. He doesn't want to throw it away too early on. We know these smoke tires, if you just go a little bit too hot for a couple of laps, they're over, and you'll just put too much heat into them, they will not be able to bring it back. So you'll just be riding around on slime. So Krobler is doing a clever thing here, just developing the bike, developing himself, and feeling out the conditions once again. Remember, almost fresh off the aeroplane from racing in the UK. The UK summer is not what we understand as a UK summer, remember that. And you know, he's used to having much better tires under him and cooler conditions to race against. We're heading into summer here at Phakisa, which means there is plenty of heat pumping out of this tarmac now.
This is probably boding well for the Kawasaki and the extra rubber it's got. The Fantech Uncle Andy's racing machine that leads things out with Carl Robinson, the newly crowned champion, on board. He's looking good so far. If you can keep it all together, the possibility of beating Nicholas Schroeder. That's not a bad thing to have once you've wrapped up a title of Super M category and status. You go out and beat one of South Africa's top superbike riders, Nicholas Schroeder.
In a straight-up fight as well. So that's going to set him up quite nicely moving forward into his foray into the final round.
Loving this little battle at the back.
Yeah,
here
this is
well.
nice.
That's Redmond fighting with Travis Warren. That's what we saw. But you've now got Van Lockenberg, and Kukamura has fallen by the wayside again. So even the second bike, his original race bike, doesn't seem to have the same kind of pace as what he'd like out of that Honda.
Yeah, really battling with pace, so it's strange to see because he was able to run at the front of these guys. Now he's rolling off the back. He's not going to roll into the pits, but he just cannot get a good setup working on that Honda. It's a shame. It's a real shame. And there we see a little bit of KTM power going up against Warney on one of the old Hondas out there.
Is that HRC?
Well, I don't think it's one of the ex-Evo ones that we were talking about. We can't go near that word anymore. Those were hot bikes. Those were extremely hot bikes.
Extremely hot bikes. Right, Redman under pressure from his stablemate Warney on the Supersport gearbox, Mayfair gearbox, and of course Munro helping those two riders out as they come into the right-hander at turn 2.
And confirmation on our graphic here, lap number 2, which is essentially the first flying lap of the race. Carl Robinson posted the hottest lap of the race so far, a 140.9. That's what gave him that initial advantage, and that's hopefully what's going to keep him out there. He's currently running 2 seconds ahead of the man that runs second on the double 2, the 22 Joker machine, and that's Krobler. But look at this KTM go. This guy is fired up. I'm loving the riding style of Van Lockenberg, and he fancies his chances here. You can see it.
Yeah, he's in the mix there with the Yamaha R6 1000cc Honda Fireblade, and the Fireblade just squeezes through on the R6. A little bit extra squirt down that flick-flack that goes to Incini 1, and Travis Warner has now resumed the position he was in race number 1.
Yeah, it's that
climb, ahead of Redman.
That climb up the hill. That's where the little bit of extra displacement gives you the advantage. We've seen that the well-tuned 600s in this category can run incredibly good corner speed and squirt it to be able to live on down the back straight. But this time around, it's going to be a hard one.
Here we go.
Teddy Brook on the big fight back. It looked like Janine had run away from this, so Teddy has been building it and hammering down.
Sure. Teddy Brook sneaking through on the Brook Refrigeration Kawasaki ZX-10s, finds some power to get through on the More Money Enbridge Talkshaw BMW.
Janine had to have a problem in that lap. She had to, because she had something like almost 2 seconds over Teddy Brook. So we'll have to see if she can go on the big fight back now.
Well, the best lap's been a 42.7. That last lap was a 43.150, so not as fast as what she's able to get there. Now that she's got Teddy Brook in front of her, good possibility that it might just fire up a little bit, because remember, those two are fighting for 4th and 5th in the championship now, and there's only 2 points in it between the two of them.
Johnny Cricker runs off the back of these guys as far as positioning goes, but almost 7 seconds off the back wheel. So it was an early run for Johnny Cricker, riding a little bit too tight, and he's faded backwards.
So Johnny Cricker just losing out on this little battle, and it looks like Janine is doing the same thing, as Teddy Brook has now found whatever the issue was, sorted it all out, and now starting to just eke away from Janine Davies. Is there enough time for him to close in? What do we got, 5 seconds up the road to Justin Gillison? No, I don't think he's going to catch Gillison, and Gillison is going to have to just settle for what is going to be 4th place here.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a lonely road these last couple of rounds for Gilly. He hasn't been able to bridge the gap to get to the guys that run up front. Conversely, no one has been able to bridge the gap to get onto his back wheel, so it's been a lot of lonely 4th places for Gilly at the second half of the season. This is a great battle. Love the fact that the coastal riders have come up, and this KTM of Van Lockenberg is climbing the ladder. He definitely can learn a lot here, and these are definitely his fastest laps on this circuit.
When you talk about coastal riders, Clarksdorp, it's the big dam, hey? Clarksdorp, the big dam, and all around the outside, look at Van Lockenberg trying to find a way through there. And has he got it? Look at that, an amazing bit of riding there from Van Lockenberg, looking for a way to sneak through on Warney. Warney keeps him honest. And yet the East London man runs wide and opens up the door.
Let me just tell you
Van
something.
Lockenberg sneaks through.
I'm looking at our scoring sheets, and Carl Robinson is free-falling. We're showing Nick Krobler running in 1st place, and we're seeing Carl Robinson free fall down to 8th. So it looks like we may have our reigning champion, newly crowned champion, number 18, Carl Robinson, off on the side of the circuit somewhere.
He's back up on top. He's back up on top. Probably just a timekeeping thing. Yeah, timekeeping thing.
Giving me a heart attack, the scoring sheets.
Still up and running, and at the front end, I think just missing the transponder. Maybe the transponder giving us a little issue. So Pro Timing immediately sorting out the issue and getting it back up with Robinson now. Still with a 2-second lead. In fact, a 1.99.
Warney, this looks like he's probably cooked his tires. Remember, this rider, even though he got a lot of help to get up here from the guys from Mayfair Gearbox and Monroe, there's a couple of other guys that helped him out. He is riding on a shoestring budget. Those tires are done.
Certainly are, but we'll try and make them work now to the end of the race and just finish up, because if he stays where he is, the possibility he'll still get a top 10 overall, because he did finish 9th in the first one.
Okay, now that I've recovered from my heart attack, Robinson is still leading things out. Krobler is still off his back wheel, and the deficit is still just over 2 seconds, 2.144, and that is a controllable number with just 6 laps remaining. Robinson is going to be able to cover this one up.
There he is, confirmation still out on circuit. Kyle Robinson, the newly crowned champion. He normally runs 18. You can see they've duct taped up that number 8 on the side to give him the number 1 plate for the very first time. And the reason he can do that is there isn't a number 1 coming out of a championship before. This is the first time SuperM has crowned a champion. So with 2 laps, 2 races to go, well, 1 race in this day and 2 heats at the final to go, he can probably run the number 1 plate to the end of the season.
I don't know if that's 2.1 seconds that he still has in hand there. Perhaps. But it looks like Krobler might be building this one up. So we'll stay with these guys at the front to see how close the Joker can get this time around. Very wide entry there. And let's see what the BMW has got. We should be able to see him in this big long shot down the back straight. Yeah, it's still maybe just under 2 now.
Yeah, about 2 seconds there, just counting in my head as they went through and using that marker at the entrance to the back straight as a chance to work it out. The KTM though, this Lockenberg has got something special. He really has fought hard with Redmond, now with Warren. He's got past both of them. And Nelson Lockenberg, in his very first outing at a SuperM category national championship race, is going to finish in the top 9.
And confirmation that he is running his hottest laps. If you look down the scoring sheets as well, he has improved about 4 seconds over the weekend. He's now down into a 1:46, a very respectable time here at Phakisa.
Coming through now, Travis Morley getting across. He's going to just try and maintain that 11th place. He knows Kukumura probably in pit lane, and we've got confirmation that he is in the pit. But it is Travis Vaughan that wants to stay in 11th. Hopefully not too far behind Kevin Redmond. Otherwise, the time deficit might not give him an overall 9th place.
Remember, throughout the championship, we've had 25 riders scoring points. As we go back and pick up on the Brooke versus Davies battle, and Brooke has got her back, should I say. She hasn't been able to recover there. So it was Brooke that actually built up pace, improved his lap times, wound it up, made the pass on Janine, and Janine has not been able to come back.
Well, there was a bit of a gap that opened up with Teddy Brooke as well, and Janine has closed that gap down again. At one point, they were about 2 seconds apart. They're now about 200ths of a second apart, and Janine is looking to come back again. And Janine is going to go past on power by the thing. No, not quite. Just had a look up the inside. Teddy Brooke was later on the brakes, heading into the toe of the boot.
Gillison is just 2.2 seconds up the road from this bunch as well, so it is not over. In fact, we're keeping him in shot. I saw that, just a little flash of green. So these guys battling together, Teddy Brooke and Janine Davies, are going to close up on Gilly.
It's an amazing bit of effort there, and in fact, if that happens, good possibility we may see a change up for 3rd, 4th and 5th place, not only 2nd and 3rd place, because O'Leary, remember, is still in with a shot there. He's sitting in 3rd place. It's a comfortable 3rd place. He is only 7 seconds down the road from this battle.
Oh, look at that. They are closing him up big time. That's about 0.2 of a second every single lap. So they are working well together. And remember, coming out of heat number 1, Janine Davies was one of the fastest riders in the last 2 laps. So she kind of holds something back and drops it hard.
Well, check out how the pace is working. In other words, her ability to pace the race. Janine is all over the back of Teddy. Teddy is closing in on Gillison. Gillison is lapping in the 43s. 42s coming out of Brooke and 42s out of Janine Davies. So they are lapping a second quicker than Justin Gillison. They've still got 4 laps to go. There is enough time to bridge that gap and get past Justin Gillison.
That's got to feel good when you look up the road and you can visibly see the rider in front of you coming towards you. You just think, keep doing what I'm doing. Let's just go get this guy. Gilly, a big rider out there. He will be suffering with some fatigue, but I think it's his tires. He is so hard on the rubber just to get that mass of man moving up the road.
Janine is just sitting comfortable, waiting for Teddy to take her up to the fight. Oh, a little bit of the
flips that bump nicely.
It's the bump and gets a little bit out the saddle, but manages to keep the fire on and rides out of it. But as I said, sitting there behind Teddy Brooke, that's not a bad option to sit there all the way until they reach Justin Gillison. Then possibly pull the pin out and go for it.
It was 2.2, it's now 1.3. And all the work is getting done by the 93. Teddy Brooke is doing the work and he's got the tractor beams on. He is pulling Gilly back into this.
Justin Gillison, Thornton Shade Kawasaki, is being reeled in by the Brooke refrigeration machine. And I don't want to say cool, calm and collected. It will sound a little bit cheesy, but
that
last lap,
Teddy Brooke was the fastest of his whole race, a 1:42 dead. So he is wide open and closing things down. You can see it right now. It's going to be half a lap and they're going to be all over him.
They're definitely closing down dramatically here. Gillison doing a 42.9, 42 dead out of Brooke, 42.2 out of Janine Davies, so 0.7 of a second or 0.9 of a second that the other two riders are closing in every lap now on Justin Gillison. This is the battle to watch out for, no doubt about it. It's going to be for what is 4th place on the road, but in terms of the championship, going to change things up dramatically. Bo Levy is probably going to move to 2nd in this championship after this outing and the dismal outing from Justin Gillison I'm talking about. But let's keep an eye out as to what's going to happen for 3, 4, and 5, because then there's going to be what is on track right now, 3, 4, and 5 in this championship.
Janina's building, you can see it. She's ready to go because I saw her have to roll out at the sweep at the back straight there last time around. She wanted to go a little bit hotter into that big turnaround, but Brooke was right there. The top end power of that BMW is massive, but she is running some wide lines every now and again, not being able to tame the big BMW beast.
It's not an easy bike to ride, but I can tell you something, she has got to go through it very nicely over the season. And now in with a shot, fighting not only for honours on the day, but honours in the overall championship. Oh, and Teddy Brooke just loses the front end.
He's fine. He's going to walk away from that one. The old guy will dust himself off, but he has been running some hot entry pace into that turn every single lap, and unfortunately he pushed it just a little bit too hard.
Thumbs up from Teddy. He's okay. But the bike looks a little bit worse for wear. Hopefully he can get it back up. If he gets it back up, he can still ride it to the finish, because we're into what is about 3 laps to go. In fact, the leaders will probably be coming across the line any second now to make it 2 laps to go. So Janine, what a pity there for Teddy.
Janine's going to have to do all the work by herself, and I don't think she was following directly, so she'd have been offline. She shouldn't have been able to, or had to, react too hard to Brooke going down, but it is going to blow things wide open, and she's going to have to work by herself now to carry on the fight to close up on the back wheel of Gillison. 2 laps remaining, Robinson out front, and Krobler is bringing it back, but by tiny increments.
Yeah, it's on 1.622, I beg your pardon, as they came across the line there. Is there enough time for him to close in? With the kind of rubber that's available in that BMW, it's highly unlikely. But I've seen the Joker do some tremendous things on a motorcycle in his time.
Yeah, it's going to be a case of measuring it to see what you can do. The only rider that knows what the tires feel like is the rider on the bike. No one else can postulate and figure out what the bike is going to be doing. So the Joker could try and drop the hammer and go for a sprint lap and a half, but it is going to be a massive risk. Oh, I mean, Carl Robinson, he's always such an inline rider. His bike's moving around all over the place. His tires are done.
Oh, really battling out there with traction, that's for sure. Joker probably the worst for wear as they come through Coca-Cola heading towards Uncini 1. Carl Robinson has opened up a little bit of margin now on this lap. It was a lot closer as they came through, but then as I say that, the Joker closes under corner speed, and really his late braking is keeping him in the hunt.
Bo Levy still running in 3rd place. We haven't spoken much about the big man on the KTM out of Moto Klerksdorp KTM. He is running 14, almost 15 seconds off the back wheel of these front 2 as they are coming in to take the last lap board. Carl Robinson should be able to live on, but the Joker is coming up to his back wheel. It's almost a second, so he's definitely brought it down. It was 1.6 last time around. It looks like it may be just over a second now.
So as they come into the final lap now, Justin Gillison, your newly crowned South African SuperM champion, looking to go from taking the championship to beating one of South Africa's top riders. And a welcome return for Nicholas Schulpe and the Joker in the Black Swan BMW team. But this is the man they've all had to beat this season, and now even he is battling to beat Carl Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson doing an incredible job. The Joker is improving by 0.2 per lap, but that only brings him close enough to 1.4 off the back wheel of Carl Robinson. 1.4 or 1.5, let's round it up and give it a clean number.
Up. If we can get our cameras to try and pick up, Janine Davies has gone to 4th. Janine Davies has gone to 4th and got ahead of Justin Gillison. So the 79 bike has now moved ahead, just watching them as they came through on the timing monitor. Hopefully we can pick them up at somewhere around the track, but Janine Davies has definitely got ahead, and that means Teddy Brooke would have got ahead too.
Okay, while I'm watching this is Travis Warren. He is done. There is no rubber left on those rims on the Honda, and he's a little bit of a moving chicane right now. Robinson comes through, but he did have to back it down because he caught him at an awkward place on the track. The Joker comes through, having to change his line. I don't think we're going to be able to make too much drama about this because there's still a very manageable 1.2 second lead between 1 and 2. But that was a little bit of a heavy breath that Carl Robinson had to take. Check him doing a bit of whiskey throttling down the back straight. Just wants this race wrapped up. A glory run is definitely what he's on. He wants to win with the #1 plate on before he heads to the final round and goes and plays with the big guns.
Amazing effort there from him. Really, it's a super effort. But just looking at the way things are panning out here, Teddy Brooks out of it, so I'm not even worried about him. But in terms of championship points as they come through, Kyle Robinson is our #1 plate. He's going to maintain his lead. He's going to take the win. He's already taken the championship. He doesn't have anything to worry about. He has been closed down in that last lap by Nicholas Krobler. Krobler is going to come through for 2nd place. But in 3rd place, it's going to be Bo Levy. Bo Levy has now moved himself up into within 4 points of Justin Gillison, who will finish on 155. 151 for Bo Levy, 141 for Janine Davies. So it's 4 points between 2 and 3. It's 10 points between 3 and 4. Heading into Red Star Raceway on the 29th and 30th of November, the last race of the SuperGP Championship.
So Bo has been climbing the ladder absolutely perfect. And you know what? He had such a hard start to the season. He's up there, but check out the elation coming out of Kyle Robinson. Yep, you just beat the Joker, a man that in his day and on his day can run podium and possibly race wins up against South Africa's best. Carl, next year, buddy, we've got to see you moving up to the big ranks. You've definitely got the skills, and he is just enjoying his time looking at the #1 plate. He had to work for that. He got closed down towards the end, and there was some nervous laps feeling out those tires. Congratulations to Carl Robinson. He goes 2 for 1 and will take the overall win on the day as well. So there's Carl Robinson just enjoying his lap. He already got the big high five from the Joker, who I know when Greg goes down and speaks to him on the podium, tried his best to try and close the big man down. All right, those tyres have done their work for the day. Goodbye, Pirelli rubber. Big smoke out from the man. And that ZX10 has done its time to perfection. He'll no doubt be moving on to a new machine for next year when he goes and tries and runs with the Super GP boys. His lap times should place him around about the area of Ryan van Asweken and the like of. So let's see what he can do when he moves up into the big show. Bo Levy, like Greg was talking about when we looked at the numbers, has done some stellar work. And there's Teddy Brooke getting a lift home from Janine Davies. And well, she might give him a lift because she was getting a lift around the track almost the whole race as he dragged her up to the back wheel of Gilly. She was eventually able to go and make the pass on Gilly and get herself up into 4th place, which will keep her in that championship hunt for that potential 3rd place overall. She's hunting down Gilly. Gilly is going to be dropping down to 2nd place if Bo keeps climbing the ladder, and the KTM has a chance to move up into 2nd on the championship. Janine Davies having those 2 poor rounds on the season, which dropped her out of the hunt. But she started the year here at the circuit at round #1 with a podium. So coming down into the post-race area, Nick the Joker Krobler. And let's have a look at those tires. I reckon that back tire is completely in the bin. He just looked down at his back tire with a big shake of the head, and he knows that's why he lost that race. Check him checking out the rubber. There's nothing left on that thing.
Yeah, what an awesome effort there from Bo Levy to get through there. And as I said, I'm just battling to hear myself up here, so if we can up the volume ever so slightly, it would help me out. But it is the 3 riders from SuperM making their way to the podium. Nicholas Krobler in 2nd, Bo Levy in 3rd, and of course our newly crowned champion, who is looking good in 1st place, beating Nicholas Krobler after his first race victory. They make their way up to the podium right now. Looking at the way that rubber has gone, it's not an easy way to check things out. Kyle Robinson, Matt, I have to agree with you. His bike looking a lot better for wear in terms of tyre wear on that Pirelli on the back tyre. The BMW is completely wrecked. He's worked that thing into the ground and probably passed it. And even the KTM's looking pretty tasty in terms of rubber available to it. But up on the podium now, coming through to accept their awards and also to have a little bit of fun and games on the podium too. Let's get them up. Oh, the young lady's going to go right to the top of the podium. Yeah, you just stand right there because your dad's coming really soon. The two Robinson girls up there. How are you guys doing? Did you guys enjoy the race up there? Hey, was Daddy going well?
Yes.
And do you think he deserves the #1 plate and becoming champion now? Hey?
Yes.
Okay, awesome stuff. Let's get them up here now. In third place, ladies and gents, let's make some noise for KTM Motos Klerksdorp. And Bo Levy now in with a chance of getting second place in the Super M. He's going to fight it out with Justin Giddison at the final round. He got first place in the first race, so welcome return to South African racing. He's got second place in the second race. The Joker's back. Let's hear it for Nicholas Krobler. And your newly crowned champion goes and shows South Africa's top talent, or one of the top talent in South Africa, that he can run with them. And yes, Andy, we're going to throw out a challenge to you because we know that that was the way that things are supposed to move in Super M. Once you win the Super M Championship, you're supposed to go where? Super GP. So are we going to Super GP at the end of November? That's what I'm expecting to see. Let's get him up here, your new champion, Carl Robinson! That's an awesome effort. Third place can be handed by Mr. Stephen Watson from Gas Sports to Bo Levy. Second place by Mrs. Lee Watson to Nicholas Krobler, the Joker. And how awesome is it? We've already seen Brad and Assis come up. We've seen Greg Kutsia come up and hand to their riders their awesome trophies. And I think this is going to be a really special trophy, not only because he's wrapped up the title, but he's now gone and beat some of the best riders in the country. Let's hear it for Carl Robinson as Uncle Andy hands him the trophy. Great job, guys. Let's get you down here and have a quick chat. Bo, first to you. Looking at the way things went there, you were pretty much on your own in this race, which is completely different to race #1. But more importantly than anything else, you're now within 4 points of Justin Giddison, and second place is looking pretty tasty.
Yeah, well, we're going to Justin's more home track on Red Star, so we'll see. I'll work on it. I'm a little tired, so we'll see how it goes.
I know you've got lots of work to do at the home track, and of course at the home as well, getting the shop all sorted out. We wish you all the very best for that one, and I hope it's up and running by the time Christmas comes. But what an awesome Christmas present it would be to have second place in the Super M Championship.
Yes, I'm going to work hard for that. I really want it. First year back on and only V-twin out there, so it's going to be awesome. I hope so.
Great effort, buddy. Well done, and all the very best. Nick, you're back in South Africa again. You've had a great day, I've got to say, racing. I'm sure that everything went according to plan, other than the fact that you'd like to have taken the double. But looking at the back tyre on that BMW, man, did you put that thing to a test?
Yeah, actually, I used the tyre I needed for yesterday, because I'm on the new bike, new electronic suspension. So I'd rather get the setup ready for next year than to do a good ride in the race. But it was a good battle, and well done to Carl.
Awesome stuff. We're looking forward to seeing you. Plans for next year? We're going to be coming to play full-time?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be full-time in the Super GP. Lovely
stuff. The Joker's back. You heard it here live on the live streaming. Let's get our champion here. Come on in here, champ. Carl Robinson. Dude, I got to say to you, buddy, I didn't think that you were going to be able to take it to the Joker, but what a start.
Yeah, I pulled a little rabbit out the hat there. We did a lot of changes to the bike in the break. Different springs, different setup. And, you know, Steve Cannon's got golden hands, so we did something special in the second heat.
Steve, just hold your hands up because I can't see those golden hands, but a great effort. Looking forward to going to Red Star now. It's a track that has always boded well for you. You don't have to worry about going to win things in Super M anymore. Are we going to see what you said you might happen? Get you into Super GP for the last round?
I think I'm going to have to get a lot fitter because the last 4 laps I was dying out there. I was strung up. So yeah, maybe if I can get my fitness up, maybe I'll try and run with the big boys in Super GP.
We're looking forward to that, I can tell you. Everybody out there is looking forward to it. All the very best and congratulations on the championship. Good job. Let's go to Matt for some highlights of race #2 of Super M.
Oh yeah, this is what it all came down to. Heat #2 of the Super M's. The new #1 plated rider, Carl Robinson, our newly crowned champion, celebrates with a hole shot and runs out front. obviously being able to maintain the bike a little bit better from race number 1. The Krobler, the Joker, Nick Krobler, the Joker, number 22, just unable to run with the early pace of Robinson as the BMW cooked those tyres completely in race number 1. Carl Robinson able to stretch away from the field. Bo Levy was running in the 3 spot, but also unable to match the pace of the top 2. But the 3rd place was helping him out a ton. As long as he finished ahead of Justin Gillison, it was going to help him out. The chase group was made up of Johnny Cricker, Trevor Brook, and Janine Davies in the early stages. It was all about Cricker holding off Davies. Then Brook came through, and unfortunately Johnny Cricker riding a little bit tight, unable to run with the pace of those 2, and they stretched things out. Davies was there and running away, and then Teddy Brook just seemed to take a little while to get himself back up to pace. Eventually he would catch Janine Davies, and then they would work together to go on the hunt for Gillison. A little bit further back, the Coastal Warriors of Redmond, Warren, and the new man coming into Superbike racing. It was all about Van Loggenberg getting the KTM up there, one of the riders that's been brought on by Bo Levy to get himself in the hunt and run some of his best laps that he has ever been able to do in national Superbike racing here at the Moss Energy SuperGP Champions Trophy, round number 7. Those 3 chopped and changed the whole way through the race until eventually the KTM showed the true guts and the power that it has to come through on the CBR 1000. Lines aplenty, left, right and center, and the KTM of Van Loggenberg showing that you can go around the outside of the sweep if you've got the big brass ones to get the job done. He forced the mistake out of one and was able to go for the cutback. A classic Phakisa move, and he'll have enjoyed doing that move and getting himself clean. So the guys that were running in that situation, then this was the story of the race. Running in a clean and clear 4th place, all of a sudden, with 4 laps remaining, Teddy Brook and Janine Davies worked together to close up on the back wheel of Justin Gillison, the man who currently was running in 2nd place in the championship. Needed all the points in the bag. All the work was being done by Teddy Brook as Janine Davies was just letting him do the work and coming down into the toe of the boot. Teddy Brook, late on the brakes, pushed the front end a little bit too hard. And she tucked. The oldest rider on the tour, though, was able to get himself up, dust himself off, and eventually would get lifted back to the pits. All the while, Janine Davies carried on the hunt and eventually got up to the back wheel of Gillison and made the pass. At the front, though, it was all about the last lap charge from the Joker. The tyres on the Black Swan BMW absolutely toasted. He came up to within half a second of the back wheel of the now newly crowned champion in the SuperM Championship. But Carl Robinson was able to take it to a former national Superbike winner and take heat number 1 in the Super M's. So Carl Robinson doing the unthinkable. He would be completely spent at the end of that, but just showed that the number 1 is on his bike for a very good reason. He's able to beat the best, and then the best get better, and he's still able to come out on top. So celebrations in heat number 2. Robinson takes the win over Joker and Bo Levy, and that was the podium.